Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes Radio Network.
On OMTimes Radio FM, where you will find tools you can use to change and transform your life. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I'm an energy healer and an intuitive life coach, broadcasting to you live from beautiful Kirkland, Washington, not too very far away from Seattle. If you would like to know more about me and the transformational work that I do, please be sure to visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net. That's intuitivetransformations.net. And while you're there, please be sure to sign up for news you can use, like me on Facebook, and also follow me on Twitter so that we can stay connected. So before we jump into today's show, I want to wish OMTimes Radio a very happy birthday. That's right, folks, because on January 11th, 2015, OMTimes Radio launched their very first radio broadcast. And my show was one of the fortunate shows that was able to broadcast on that very same day. So happy birthday, OMTimes Radio. And thank you so very much for providing a phenomenal year for the Intuitive Transformations radio show and for myself as well. Because of OMTimes Radio this year, I have had the privilege of interviewing some really remarkable people, including many names that most people in the spiritual community may easily recognize, like Malika Chopra, Pam Grout, Carolyn Mays, James Twyman, and Matt Kahn, just to know a few. And just to name a few, I'm sorry. And I've also had the privilege of sharing my own brand of inspiration and enlightenment on shows where I have flown solo and have shared spiritual teachings and understandings from my heart with all of you. So again, happy birthday, OMTimes Radio, and to Leonie and Christopher Buck. The little hummingbird not only laid the ostrich egg, but it also made sure that the ostrich egg safely hatched. So congratulations, and looking forward to many more years with OMTimes Radio. Now, for those of you who are listening to Intuitive Transformations for the very first time, I want you to know that you can listen to all of my previously aired shows by going to podcast.omtimes.com. That's podcast, one word, .omtimes.com. And just click on the Intuitive Transformations link, and from there you'll find my entire directory of all of my previous shows. And today's live show will also be available at podcast.omtimes.com starting tomorrow, so that you don't miss a word of what we're going to share today, because you definitely want to catch every single word that's mentioned in this show. You can always go and download the show tomorrow to your computer or your mobile device, and you can even share it with others through your social media channels. And I really do highly encourage you to do exactly that and share today's show, because today I have an incredible show in store for all of you. I have a fantastic guest who I am very excited to introduce. His name is Emmanuel Dagher. And Emmanuel Dagher is a highly sought after transformational specialist. He's a holistic health practitioner and an inspirational social media personality and speaker. He is the author of the Amazon bestseller Easy Breezy Miracles, and he is considered by many to be a next generation new thought leader. Emmanuel Dagger is also a gifted humanitarian who is devoted to assisting people and the planet in positive transformation as service to the well-being of humankind. In his brand new book, Breezy Prosperity, The Five Foundations for a More Joyful, Abundant Life, Emmanuel redefines what true prosperity means and offers tools to expand and enrich your life well beyond your financial goals. Emmanuel's mission as a transformational specialist is to help others bridge the gap between spirituality and money. Jack Canfield has read Emmanuel's new book, Easy Breezy Prosperity, and he says that Emmanuel's book will redefine your relationship to money and catapult you to success. Today, Emmanuel Dagher is going to share his story and personal prosperity journey, which began as the struggle that he experienced as a child living in a country torn apart by war, and how he transformed his life from that struggle into living the American dream. Thousands of Emmanuel's personal clients and fans have turned their lives around using his meditations, rituals, and exercises. Easy Breezy Prosperity, the five foundations for a more joyful, abundant life, includes a 28-day prosperity plan and a journal with simple yet effective daily practices that anyone can utilize to see instant results, and also provides strategies that will allow you to take action, strengthen your self-confidence, build a supportive network, and enjoy a more joyful, miraculous, and abundant life. So, without further ado, Emmanuel Dagger, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, Sylvia, thank you so much for having me. And I just love your voice and your energy. I can feel the love in every word, so thank you.
Oh, you are so very, very welcome. I am just tickled pink to have you here. I really am.
Thank
So,
you.
Emmanuel, I have to tell you that, and I'm sure you've already noticed that you really are the man today on OMTimes.com. I mean, you really own OMTimes.com right now. You're
Well, that's a very interesting story because I had no idea. I actually was shocked when I saw actually someone was sharing it on Facebook yesterday, and I had no idea that that was going to happen. I just thought I had a little story interview inside. So I'm just so humbled and so grateful today for this amazing miracle.
Well, I think it's pretty awesome, and I think it's just perfect that it's happening pretty much right around the birthday of Om Times Radio, and I'm happy to play a part of it. You are
Yes.
literally on the cover of Om Times magazine this week, and your brand new book has also been spotlighted in addition on OMTimes.com. And here you are finishing off the day with me. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to play in this wonderful field of energy and the electric buzz that
Mm.
you have created with your brand new book, Easy Breezy Prosperity, because it's only been out for 5 days and it's already climbing the Amazon sales ranking charts very quickly.
Thank you so much. And I want to say happy birthday to your show because I heard that, while you were speaking earlier, that you launched on the first day of Om Time. So happy birthday to your show.
Thank you so much. I received that and I appreciate it. So, congratulations on your brand new book, though.
Thank
And
you.
really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for writing it because it is the book that I've been looking for.
Oh my goodness. I think it's interesting. I keep hearing that as a theme, and it's really confirming that when one of us is going through something, we've all either gone through it or we're going through something similar. So I knew that I was looking for this book for myself and I wasn't finding it. A lot of the things that I was finding were very business oriented, and that's amazing. That's great. But I'm a very, I do much better with more heart-centered teachings and understandings. It's not very easy for me to be very mechanical. So I wanted to find something that had more heart. And then, of course, I wasn't really able to find it, especially in that field of prosperity, success, wealth, all of those things. And so the intuition said, well, why don't you write it? And here we are.
Well, I am very grateful that you followed your guidance because it's finally a book about prosperity that doesn't overwhelm the reader and make them
Thank you.
feel like they've done something wrong or they haven't done enough. And
Thank
there's
you.
so much shame associated with
Mm,
money. And
mm,
so what I love about your book is that it really does allow the release of that,
mm.
you really, it's just such a wonderful book, everyone. I really hope that everyone just rushes out and get it after they listen to you share more about it as we continue on with the show. But it really is like nothing I have seen before because,
Mm.
again, like I said, it takes away the blame and the shame that
Yes.
a lot of other books do place on the reader. And I
Yes.
love that it feels light and exciting and really authentically fun too as
Yes.
well.
Yes. Yes, and one specific thing, it's thank you so much for sharing that because that to me is like really the greatest feedback that I can receive, because I wanted to do just that. And there's something in the book where I talk about the mind. And so the things when you were saying shame and grief and maybe feeling guilty and all those things, those are actually just the mind's way of protecting itself and trying to keep itself safe. So instead of being hard on ourselves or the mind, then why not give it the right to exist? And even in those fears and those worries, the lack, just give it the right to exist, but know on some level that it's not those things. It's just those patterns that it's identifying with. So, sort of just that alone, just being able to give yourself that opportunity, that space to honor the mind in that way. We're not resisting it, we're not fighting it, we're actually working with it. And then it's going to actually work back with you and allow you to start thinking about, wait a minute, what if I'm not the lack? What if I'm not the worry and the stress? But what if I'm so much more? And that's where the magic happens.
I love it. I love it. So everyone, please stay tuned. We're going into a break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And when we return, we're going to continue this conversation about easy, breezy prosperity. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Sylvia Henderson, and I have with me my amazing guest, Emmanuel Dagher. And he has just released his brand new book, Easy, Breezy Prosperity. And he's already shared before we went to the break about why he wrote it. It was really the book he was looking for himself. And so, Emmanuel, your life has not always been easy breezy prosperity. You
No.
really had a challenging experience as a child that even most people in the United States and other
Yes.
countries, European countries, cannot really, don't have a frame of reference. I mean, not only were finances scarce, but food and safety were also scarce. So would you mind sharing a little bit about your childhood experiences?
Thank you so much. And I had sort of refrained from sharing a lot about myself in that way for a long time, especially in this line of work of helping and supporting people. But I realized that in order for this book to be as authentic that I know that it could be, and not just sort of make it something that you're talking to people and at people and telling them, oh, these things work. You have to share about yourself. And for me, I thought it was really important to share my humbled beginnings. Everyone listening right now, we've all been through a challenge. We all know what that feels like. And there's not one challenge that's bigger than the next, because it's all, in our experience, and that's how we receive it. But for me, as a child, I came into a very turbulent environment. I was actually born in Lebanon during the Civil War, and that was taking place in the 80s and the early 90s as the backdrop of my life. And so, like you said, not having running water, hot water, maybe not having food for days, no electricity, and not having the peace of mind if we're going to be able to make it the next day was probably some of the most challenging times of my life. And sometimes when I think about it, I just feel, I don't have the triggers anymore because I've done a lot of healing and releasing around it, but I do feel such compassion for that child that had no childhood in a sense. So for me, the reason why I'm so passionate about helping people started those early days. I remember making a pact with the universe or creator, source, whatever you want to call it. And I remember it was actually a day when my mom, and by the way, this is the first time I'm ever sharing this piece. My mom was actually at work. There was sort of like a little bit of a ceasefire, so she was able to go to her work. She was working at a hospital, and the bomb started again, and a lot of the chaos and the turbulence started again, and she wasn't with me. That was the first time that we were actually no longer attached at the hip.
Wow.
So it was the scariest thing. I can remember just being so terrified. But I remember in that moment, I actually lived in a convent. So one of the nuns said, you should pray. So, I didn't really know what she was talking about, but I just got down on my knees and I kind of just closed my eyes. And I said, God, universe, if you can save my mom, if you can make sure, because, by the way, the missing piece is that she didn't come home for 2 weeks. Because
Oh
there
my
was
gosh.
because there was the north and south, and it was all divided and everything. So she, so I thought I had lost her. So I said, to the universe, if there's some way that you can let me know mom's okay, everything's going to be fine, I will spend the rest of my life doing whatever it takes to be a good person. And, at 3-5 years old, you don't know exactly what that means, but that it's something you want to be a better person. So I've never forgotten that. Because, when my mom came to me and we reunited and all was okay, I knew that the universe had my back. And ever since then, even during the struggles, the times of challenges, I knew that there was always something that was going to create a better reality for me. And so that was my reference point to knowing that miracles do exist. And then, of course, many more miracles followed. And then here we are.
Wow. And so about how old were you at that time?
That specific time, I believe I was 7 years
Oh
old.
my heavens.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that pretty much answers my next question, which was how do you happen to get interested in being a transformational specialist and
Mm.
helping people to heal their lives? It really is like your life purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't really know specifically that that's what I was going to do. I also had a lot of interest simply in making people laugh and making people feel better, sort of making them forget about what's going on in their circumstances. And I'm kind of still doing that on some level with my friends and family. But it was when we actually moved to the States around 10 years old, and around 12, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is a curve in the spine. And for me, I actually had a 29.5 degree curve in the spine, which is, if anyone knows,
It's pretty significant.
yes, it's very, very significant. And I wasn't able to really participate in a lot of the sporting activities, the school activities that would be more physically based. And it was just really challenging to not be able to do that and be the kid that I was meant to be. So we went to three different doctors, and they all said I would need a metal rod in my spine and I would have to get surgery, and it would feel like I have arthritis for the rest of my life, the kind of pain that it will have. So I knew in that moment, again, that that was not going to be my reality. I always knew, and I'm so blessed to have an amazing mother who has always been very open-minded and very, out of the box type of thinking. And so we decided to follow a more holistic approach, and we started to do yoga, and we started to do meditation and sacred stretching and acupuncture. And then, of course, I started getting into psychology and spiritual psychology and how that actually was affecting my spine, because the way that my body was contorting was actually a result of all of the trauma I was experiencing
Yeah.
emotionally as a child. And I didn't know that until I started becoming a teen. And that's when I was able to say, oh my gosh. And we were able to heal it. After about 5 years of this intensive holistic approach, I was able to heal my spine. And that has become my next reference point that, wow, if you can literally move matter in that way, where people, even in Western doctrines, are sort of teaching that that's not possible, then what else is possible? And then I started to really get passionate about many things like relationships with money, relationship with ourselves, all these things. And I realized it's all connected: body, mind, and spirit.
Well, this all makes perfect sense to me because now I know why I've always had this spiritual crush on you because your vibration, I mean, just really being honest here, your vibration is incredibly high and it's really, it's pure too. And I'm not saying that you're perfect. I mean, no one is,
Yeah.
but your energy it's very clean. It's very honest. Your compassion for other people is so authentic that it's
Mm.
actually vibrationally palpable, and you're so consistent in who you are because the first time I heard you speak was on the Beyond the Ordinary show
Mm.
with John Burgos, and I'm gonna
Yes.
be honest, I don't listen to everyone that's there, but I could not stop listening to you.
Aw.
And it's because you are so in alignment with
Mm.
everything that you say, and
Thank
your vibration remains consistent. And every time I've heard you speak, it
you.
feels the same way. And you're just so congruent with you. And you don't
Mm.
find that very often out in the world. And so,
Sylvia, I want to say, thank you for saying that, because for me, it's about others. It's always about others, and it used to be very hard, and it still sometimes is very hard for me to receive this kind of love. And I know it's not an ego thing; it's just
no,
a
not at all.
receiving thing. So I just want to say I'm gonna honor you, and I'm gonna receive that. Thank you.
Thank you. And the only reason I'm sharing that is because when I read your book, I found the same high vibration that you personally carried through the pages in your book as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I remember, so going back, I moved to the States at 10 years old. I didn't speak English. So English was not even my first, second, or third language. It was like my fourth. And so what happened was I remember, really wanting to try to fit in. And I wanted to, again, it's that part of me that wants to make people feel good and happy and laugh and smile. So I remember my teacher, I think it's like fifth grade, sixth grade, and she called my mom 3 months after we had moved here, and she was so ecstatic. She was so excited. She said, your son is now speaking English and he's doing so well, and we're going to start putting him in, which is so crazy, to put him in AP comp and English and all those classes that are just, the English
fluent English speakers.
Yes. I'm like, what's happening? So my senior year, I remember my English composition teacher said, I want you to know something. You may not have the best grammar. You may not have the technical stuff, but I got to say, when you write, it's like you speak. It's the same way. And that's something that I want you to contemplate and think about in the future, because I think that is what sort of will allow people to resonate with whatever you have to offer. And so that's always stuck with me. And because I didn't know, I never thought I was going to be a writer or an author. It just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was more about just being myself. And I think anyone listening right now, whatever dream you have, whatever vision you have, just be authentically you, and everything else, I promise you, everything else will fall into place.
And that really is the key. And I want to talk a little bit. We only have about a minute before the break.
Sure.
But I do want to talk about the book and the 5 foundations for a more joyful, abundant life. Real quick, can you just kind of rattle them off before we go into the break?
Yes, the 5 prosperity foundations, finding your happiness. A lot of people don't know what their happiness is, so we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Embracing circulation, investing in yourself. A lot of people think that they need others to invest in them. They need to work and invest in other people's businesses. How about investing in you? Then building your support system, really creating an authentic community. And then gratitude and kindness. Those are the 5 prosperity foundations in this book.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emmanuel. So we're going to go back into another break. And when we return, Emmanuel's going to explain what all of that means and how you can actually utilize these 5 prosperity foundations, our fundamentals for your life. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few moments.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Emmanuel Dagher. And before we went to the break, I'm sorry, Emmanuel, I think I said Dagher instead of Dagger.
All good, all good.
Before we went to the break, I had Emmanuel share very quickly what the 5 prosperity foundations are that you can find in his book, and they're finding happiness, embracing circulation, investing in yourself, building a support network, and practicing gratitude and kindness. And so let's talk about finding your happiness, because one of the things I really think is important that you bring to light is that it is important that you understand what your purpose is, and in a way that you're not looking at the specifics in terms of what makes you happy, but really the qualities.
Yes, yes. And that actually opens you up. And one thing, when I worked with clients and they're just like, I don't know what it means to be happy. I always often guide them back to a time between the ages of 2 years old and 15 years old. And think about and contemplate about all those things that really made your heart sing at the time. It could have been music. It could have been singing, dancing, art, science, whatever it was. Just really reflect on that and write all of those things out. Because what happens is, as we become adults, if we're lucky, we align and connect with the sort of things that really make our heart sing. But a lot of times, because of the conditioning, because of society, because maybe even of our parents' desires of what they wanted for us instead of what we really wanted for ourselves, we kind of veered away from that. And then we start to not know that feeling of joy anymore. Maybe there's little instant things like a coffee pick-me-up or something, which is fine, but that lasting deep joy is not there. So the way to reconnect with that is sort of go back to that childhood and think about those things. And the other thing is finding your purpose. A lot of people, when you ask them, what's your purpose, they'll tell you a job title, or they'll tell you, oh, I want to be a mom, I want to be a dad, a friend, all those things. And those are amazing. I mean, they're amazing purposes. However, what you said and what's in the book is we don't want to be so specific, because what happens is if we keep it to a title, titles change, they evolve. And so when we start getting so attached to them, then we're going to be disappointed over and over again. But when we open it up to a quality, so for example, what does being a mom do for you? What does being a scientist or a teacher or an artist provide you with? What's that quality? Usually it brings you joy. So what if your only purpose in life is simply to create and experience joy? What if your only purpose in life is to be happy? And that includes making yourself a priority, taking care of yourself, because I know one thing for sure, and as a, recovering empath, someone who always was a people pleaser, I know that when you're pleasing others and not taking care of yourself, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear yourself down. You're not going to be aligning with your joy fully. So your only purpose, what if your only purpose is to be happy? And now when you think about that, then you can say, okay, today I'm a mom. Today I'm a superwoman who's going to be, taking over the world in miraculous ways. Whatever that may be, it can evolve and expand, and you don't have to be stuck in one title. That opens you up to your greatest purpose, which is your joy.
And I love that, because that being stuck in that one title shuts down everything, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And it's very, the mind, as hard as it is for us as spiritual beings to even fathom this, because the spirit is eternal. It's vast and it's infinite. And so what happens is when the mind tries to convince itself that it's stuck, it's very uncomfortable. And that discomfort is an actual confirmation that that's not you. It's just the pattern. So your spirit is not going to fit into this. What I think about is, remember in Cinderella when all those other ladies were trying to wear
The
Cinderella's
glass
slipper?
slipper.
Yeah, and none of them were fitting except once it came to Cinderella. So once it clicked, that was the perfect size and energy, and that's who she was. So she wasn't trying to be anybody else, and all these people were trying to be someone else. So when we can allow our spirit to sort of rise up and remind us that even though the mind wants to go into those patterns of lack, limitation, fear, all of those things, that's not who we are. That's just the pattern. And that's where the disconnect happens, and we open ourselves up to who we really are.
That's beautifully said, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for sharing that. And before we go into the next prosperity principle or foundation, I want you to talk a little bit about money, because when people hear the word money, it
Yes.
conjures up all kinds of feelings and emotions and
Yes.
thoughts and memories. And also, I want you to also talk about something that really grabbed hold of me when I read your book, that I kept going back to over and over again. I'd never read before, really. And that was that the idea that I could support money and that I could serve money, where everything else is always taught that you should have money work for you and serve
Yes.
you and support you, and you have to store it and you have to hide it. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so, and this is part of that next foundation, which is all about circulation and embracing it. So when we can understand, and a part of circulation is money. So when we can understand what money really is, and for me, having gone through all the challenges and seen my mom struggle financially and working 4 to 5 jobs when we first moved to the United States in order to make ends meet. And it was just, money was a struggle for us. That literally was what it equated to. So the actual game changer for me, and I talk about this in the book, the game changer, was to understand, look deeper, almost research what money is and sort of what it embodies. So when I sort of started doing that, I understood and I started seeing that money is simply the embodiment. It's just the embodiment of giving and receiving energy. That's all that it is. It's like the physical. So thousands of years ago, it was, I'm going to give my chicken for your cabbage. That's what represented money. It was an exchange. And then it evolved to coins, and then it evolved to paper, and now that's almost becoming obsolete. And now it's almost energy, just energy. I'm going to transfer this from my bank to your bank, from my phone to your phone. So it's really evolving. And so we don't look at phones right now as money, right? We don't really see it yet as like, oh my gosh, this is actually money, but that's where we're headed to. And so when we understand that all of those things are just placeholders, they're just embodiments of energy that's being exchanged, then we can see that money is not this lifeless object, but this living, breathing energy that has its own purpose, just like we have ours. So ours is to be happy, and money's purpose is to be the embodiment of giving and receiving energy, giving and receiving love. So the way that we've been treating this living, breathing thing, so just suppose that this thing was a best friend or a partner, and imagine all of those ideas that, wars were fought for it. Only rich people, they're greedy and they shouldn't be good people because they have money and all these things, or I have to pay my dues and I have to struggle. All those illusions are our behavior and our let's say the mind's misconceptions around what money is. Money only wants to support, only wants to be of service, and it wants to live its purpose. So why don't we allow it to do that? So when we give it the humanity and the right to exist as a living, breathing energy, then we can have a much healthier relationship with it, and then it'll come to you in droves.
I love that. And again, I just kept going back to that. I'm like, because I had heard other people say, think of money as your friend. And yes, it's energy. I've heard that lots of times. But there was something about the way you worded in the book that it really hit home with me, and I got it. So thank you. Thank you.
And I think it could have been that little piece that I talked about with the science fair project. Did you remember that? Yes. So that just talking about how one plant wanted to listen to the classical music because it was thriving and growing, and the other one I had listened to heavy metal, and it was literally shriveling up and withering away. And back then it was more, does music? The hypothesis was music affects plants.
Right.
And now I look back at it and I'm like, no, it's more than that.
It affects energy.
Yes, the energy. And the plant was like, I don't speak, but I'm telling you that I don't like this. And so why can't we see the energy of money as this living, breathing thing? Rocks are living, minerals are living, everything is living on this planet, even when we're not aware of that. So let's look at money. Let's just for 28 days, let's just try that and see how we can start to have a more softer, more loving, more compassionate. How can I support you? How can I serve you? How can I help you? Not in an egoic way, but in a reverent way, recognizing it as part of the universe rather than separate from it.
Well, it would certainly change the way you think towards your money or your current bank account status. If you really recognize that having these thoughts of, why aren't you enough for me? Or, this thing of being afraid of it, even to look at it, just, this changes everything. It's a great game changer. I love that.
And there is one thing that I want to add to what you just said, is that when you said you're not enough for me, I would like for, let's say someone who has that thought, turn that around and switch it with, I'm not being enough for myself. Because when you make it not about the money, but make it about how much you're loving yourself, how much you're nurturing, taking care of, pampering yourself, your prosperity is a direct result of how you're treating yourself. So just think about that, feel into that, and try that on. When your mind wants to take you there, oh my gosh, I don't have enough, ask yourself, what is it that I'm not giving to myself? How am I not showing up more for myself, more loving, more compassionate? Is there room for me to do that? And that will start to shift you out of the lack into the prosperity.
Because the money really is just acting as a mirror and reflecting back.
Absolutely.
Right. I love it. Love it. Okay. So we're preparing to go into another break. I just want to remind everyone that you're listening to Intuitive Transformations, and Emmanuel Dagher is here, and he's talking about his brand new book, Easy, Breezy Prosperity. When we return from the break, I'm going to have Emmanuel share with you all the other remaining prosperity foundations, as well as how you can get this book and find out where Emmanuel's going to be next and more about him. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few moments.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe. The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we are in the last segment of the show. Emmanuel, this has gone way too fast.
I know. We're having so much fun.
I know, it's awesome. So we have 3 more prosperity foundations to talk about. But before we do, can you please share with everyone how they can get your book? What's the best way? I know it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but you also have another option for people.
Yes. So first of all, I want to just say thank you so much for this amazing time. I'm having so much fun, and I can feel the energy of your audience, and they're amazing. So you can go to easybreezyprosperity.com. I actually have some amazing bonus gifts and additions to the book there. They're free just for getting a copy of the book. And it's like a 4-part healing series called Prosper Now, 1 hour each, and it's all sort of a very powerful sister accompanying this book so that you can sort of hear it in action and word, and a lot of healing and clearing is involved there as well so that you can prosper and thrive. So easybreezyprosperity.com, and then of course amazon.com, and you can actually, I share a lot of insight and things like that on Facebook, so /Emmanuel Dagher 1.
And Dagger is spelled D-A-G-H-E-R?
D-A-G-H. The H is silent. E-R, yes.
Great. And then could you also just share your website?
Yes, EmmanuelDagher.com. So EMMANUELDAGHER. And lots of fun things. There's also a free gift there. Always take advantage of that.
Great. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So we have 3 more prosperity foundations to get to, and then I do want you to just kind of briefly go over the 20-day prosperity plan, where you use all the exercises that you talk about in each one of the chapters on the prosperity foundations.
Yes, definitely. So Prosperity Foundation 3 is all about investing in yourself. And, it took me a while to get this finally, especially because I was sort of, my mom wanted me to live the American dream in a way where I was doing what every other kid was doing, trying to do good in school, go to college, and do all those things. And I did, and I'm so grateful. But, looking back at it, I see and feel that it didn't have to be so limited to that way. And we can value it. We can be so grateful. But the way that I thought, now looking back at it, is, I was being sort of prepped to work for someone else. That's sort of what I was starting, from my experience.
I think that's everyone's experience.
Yeah, right. And I don't want to generalize, but I wanted to sort of share my experience. And I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. So I was thinking I was going to go into either political science, or I was going to go into real estate and all these different things. And I was trying to sort of intern and sort of see if those things were a right fit for me. And I was just realizing, oh my goodness, it was just feeling very, very heavy for me. So I started to think about, okay, so what are some of the people like Sir Richard Branson and, Oprah, how was she able to take working for someone and then change it, and now she's the one who's sort of driving? How can she do that? And I realized that it was because they invest in themselves, not just financially, but their time, their energy, their gifts, their talents, their joys. They really take the time to invest in themselves. And this book, I sort of tap into all the ways we can do that and build on that without even, starting out without any money around it, but then of course, eventually that will build and you will start putting and investing financially in yourself and growing and thrive. So that's one chapter. The other prosperity foundation is building a support network. So when I say that, a lot of us, again, in society have been conditioned to really shy away from asking for help, from asking for support. And I'm one of them. I mean, I'm still sort of moving through that and trying to, do my best in receiving, as we talked earlier. And so one little tip there is, first and foremost, to think about the five, and many of us may have heard this, but the five closest people to you. Do they reflect who you really desire to be, or are they maybe not reflecting that? And so how can you start to refine it a little bit and align with the type of people who are authentic, who want you to succeed, who you want them to succeed? There's not that competition. There is that camaraderie and that support. That's what's going to start creating a solid foundation. And I think many of the people like Oprah and whoever has sort of gotten to that level say, you can't get there by yourself. It takes a village. It really does take a village. And you have to be humble and open and available enough to ask for the help, and then, of course, to give it. So that's one thing about creating greater prosperity that's in the book. And I use some examples there of some stories of clients. And then the Prosperity Foundation 5 is all about gratitude and kindness. And I would also have to say generosity. Those are sort of the really important things that I think once people understand the power of being generous, and that it's actually really more for you than it is for the person that you're being generous to, because the universe is a very generous universe, and it loves when it's being expressed through you as generosity, and it will literally create miraculous experiences that rise up to bless you manyfold. And it's not like you have to have that expectation, but just being open and ready and willing to experience that. So gratitude and kindness are sort of the energies around generosity as well, because again, gratitude is like that prayer of awareness, of acknowledgement. I see you. Universe, I see you. I know the blessings that you are offering me, and I'm paying attention. And when you're paying attention, it's going to give you more to be grateful for.
I love that. I love that. I love how you describe that, because I'll be honest, gratitude to me has been kind of been a catchphrase for a lot of people, but the way that you've given it a different energy, you've really kind of exposed the energy of what it really is truly to be.
Yes. It's not, a lot of people talk about it. We've heard it in The Secret. It's wonderful. But a lot of people don't know what it feels like to be grateful. And so to those who may not know what it feels like, it's okay, first of all, know that that's okay, because it's not something maybe that's been very comfortable or easy for you. But I would invite you to contemplate on the idea that what if gratitude is not this chore that it has to be, but actually an experience, a sacred experience that you can have with yourself to remember who you really are, that you are one with spirit. What if that's all that it is? Think about that.
That's beautiful. I love it. And that's what I really enjoyed about your book too, is that even there's no heaviness to any of this. And even if like there's some people, especially people who are still struggling with that empath thing, and they're healers and the support network thing, I could, kind of feel people go, oh, wait a minute. I don't know. I wanted the autonomy, but there is everything in here is fun, folks. It's just fun.
It is. And it's one of those books that I wanted to create where you could just open it up and, read a chapter or just a few pages and get exactly what you need for that day. That's the kind of book that I wanted it to be. And I did put the 28-day prosperity plan because, we really want to honor we've honored the right brain, which is very creative, very spiritual. So now we want to honor the organized part of ourselves, because the left brain wants to be recognized too. So I put together a day-to-day, literally, morning, noon, and night plan that is so, so powerful. I've worked with this specific plan with many, many clients, and we always do sort of checking to see how it's going, and it's been amazing. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no difference, 10 being a huge difference, the average was a 9. So
Wow.
they were so expanded, so happy, so excited, and I said I'll take anything over a 5. So I'm very happy with that.
Well, here's what I also love about it, because I'll be honest, whenever I see something on the cover like a 28-day plan, I initially go, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I
you're
have to work.
I have to work, right? More efforting. No. But your 28-day prosperity plan, again, folks, it's so fun. I mean, I can't
Yes.
wait to do it every day, because I just finished reading the book today.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's only
Yes.
been out for 5 days. So,
Yes.
but it's so fun that it's just
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, this is better than hula hooping or riding my
Yeah.
bike in the wind along the waterfront. And I tell you, it's not going to be a burden or a struggle or something else you have to do.
Yes.
The exercises in here, you will want to do them, because
Yes.
you can feel your vibrational energy raise as you think about doing them, because Emmanuel's just done such a beautiful job creating something because a lot of people will write good stuff, but it doesn't help if you won't do it.
That's so true. And the thing that you keep saying is fun. That's so important for me. I think spirituality, and actually, if you think about what enlightenment is, it's to lighten up, to have fun, and to not take yourself so seriously. So when we do that, when we create that joy, that buoyancy in ourselves, then our life will match that and mirror that back.
And that's what it's all about, because everything is a
Yes.
mirror anyway. And so if you're not receiving that, guess what you're reflecting? Guess what you're projecting,
Yeah.
right?
And that's okay too, right?
Yeah,
Until
it's
they're
okay.
ready.
That's the
Yes.
other thing I love is it's okay. And you don't even have to do it exactly the way I'm showing
Exactly. You
you.
can just open it up, the book, and that day, whatever practice that wants to come through for you and support you, that's what I do. I say, universe, show me which one I need to do today. I'll open it up, and there you go.
You give the reader so much permission to be who they are, where they are.
Yes.
That's huge. So my hat goes off to you. You've done a beautiful job with this book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gosh, Emmanuel, I can't believe our time is done. This has been so much fun. I hope that everyone listening has enjoyed it just as much as I have. Please remember that if you want to download this show, go to podcast.omtimes.com. And while you're at it, make sure that you go out and get Easy Breezy Prosperity by Emmanuel Dagher. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Love to you. Bye-bye for now. Talk to you next week.
Your